Hey everyone! Welcome to today's lunch lesson live. It's 12 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully you guys are all eating some yummy lunch and you can join me for a quick lesson on today's topic is Etsy shop tips. So if you are an Etsy owner, you definitely don't want to miss this. So thanks so much for coming. If you're here, give me a wave or a heart or let me know that you're here so I'm not just speaking to blank faces. Tell me you're here. So glad you're here. If you're listening on the live, just type live, or if you're listening on the replay, tell me in the comments replay so I know who's here when I do this or who's coming back later. I'd love to hear from you. So today, hey Brooke, thanks so much for coming. I wanted to thank Brooke for voting. Every week you can vote on today's topic. So we can talk about whatever topics are adamant to your business or are needed. I would love to hear what your concerns are, questions are, anything that you want to talk about. I'd love to do a quick live for you. Each week you can vote. On Tuesdays I send out a little poll so you can vote on the next week's topic. So I'm excited you're here. Thanks so much. So today we're talking about Etsy shop tips. So how many of you have been frustrated with your Etsy shop and getting seen, right? If you're new setting up your Etsy shop, you may not have noticed yet, but if you've been on Etsy for any amount of time, it's still hard to be seen, right? And it's a great place to be because there are so many people already there, right? That's the beauty of having an Etsy shop versus your own website. I always encourage you to, eventually you want to drive people to your own website so you can control your customers, because it's so easy for people on Etsy to be searching for the same thing that you have, to then, right, decide between you and another shop, like you're right up against your competitors all the time. But that's okay if you're, if you don't have enough traffic to your website yet, because Etsy, you want to take advantage of all those customers. They're already there, right? They're already searching right there for your products or services, right? So I always say this is for Etsy shop owners. If you're a coach and you're thinking about offering services on Etsy, it's a great place to start. If you have products, obviously, it's a great place to start. And definitely during, high season traffic. So Christmas season, this is the perfect time to get on Etsy and get your products seen. So, seasonal times on Etsy is really important. So just a quick background for me, I was on Etsy, I've been on Etsy for 14 years. So back in 2010, I started my first little Etsy shop, and you're never gonna believe it was on duct tape wallets, right? Isn't that crazy and fun? I was obsessed with duct tape for a while, right? They had all those really fun patterns at Michael's and Hobby Lobby. So anyway, I was on the search, always trying to find new fun duct tape ways to incorporate crafts and things like that. So thanks so much for watching. If you're here, give me a little like or a little wave. I'd love to hear from you. So my little duct tape business, right, did okay, but I really learned really fast that Etsy is massive. Even back then, 14 years ago, Etsy was still huge and it was really hard to be seen. It was kind of like the mentality of if you build a website, right, you feel like if I build it, people will come, right? And unfortunately, it's really just not the case. You really have to be active. Same as on Etsy, is same as on if you're having a website on your own, or if you're noticed on Facebook, right, or on social media. You still have to be pretty active. You can't, unfortunately, just post and hope that people will come. So unfortunately that is the case, but that's okay. That allows us to be more authentic and more engaging and more catering to our customers. So same with on Etsy. So here's so let's get into the tips for today. So for Etsy, you've probably noticed it's beautiful, right? The more beautiful pictures, the better. And what I love is and Etsy's kind of always changing, right? It used to be they had these gorgeous gosh, I forget what they're called. If you were on Etsy 10 years ago, every day they would have a little what was it, like a little vignette where it would be like 9 beautiful pictures that went to a theme. And it used to be you could submit theme ideas, so you could share other people's, you could create these themes, and anyway, it's just a fun way to be creative, but it's still beautiful, and I love their branding, and you've probably noticed their great commercials on TV, right? So I know they're trying. I know they're really trying to cater to the handmade items, as well as services, right? I really think offering services on Etsy, So at first my duct tape wallet business, right, was really hard to get off the ground, and it was fun, and it was crafting, and I did it when the kids were little, so it was fun. But I learned a lot, obviously. And so then my next shop has been much more successful, and that's where I've offered my marketing services. So I've done more social media and video services on my current Etsy shop. So that's been for the last, I'd say, 6 years or so. And again, I've learned a lot, but I've learned what to do from the original little duct tape business. I was able to learn a lot about how to promote your shop. So back to how it being so pretty, right? It's gorgeous. People love to be there because there are pretty pictures. So that is number one, right? You definitely want to make sure you have great pictures. And it doesn't have to be like, you hire someone to do these professional pictures or anything like that. It can just be, like a white background, I always say, is good if you have a product, or just a cute background is totally fine, right? A lot of people set up like a little vignette in their home with like, just a kind of neutral background, or it could be a seasonal background or something like that, where you can take pictures on a table. I always say try natural lighting, right? But you can certainly have a whole setup if you have a little like photo studio in your home, kind of a thing. I used to have like a little light box that I would do for my wallets, and it worked for a while, right? But you can get pretty creative. So if you're not sure quite how to take pictures, you can certainly look on Etsy and see what your competitors are doing. One thing I love is the mock-ups, right? So if you're doing t-shirts, products, tote bags, any of those kinds of things where you're printing stuff on them, Canva is a beautiful place for mock-ups. They've really created a lot of new mock-ups. And I know there's some other free websites too. So if you're using another mock-up site, feel free to say in the comments below to share with everyone else. But mock-ups are a great way to show your t-shirts, or it would just be a blank tee, and then you can pop your logo or design in those mock-ups. So that's a really great way to get some pictures that are kind of already already professional. You don't have to like get a model to model off your your cute t-shirts and things like that. So and also if you're doing services, right, there's no reason that you can't use Canva to have like a cute background, right? I always use like for business stuff, I always have like a cute desktop. They have all those really cute, like it'll be like an office desk with like just cute things in the background. So anyway, I love those kinds of things. So pictures is number one, right? You definitely want good quality, easy to read, not too busy pictures. And if you're offering a service, I really think sometimes a title in your picture. So I've been successful with that in my shop, is just having the title right on the picture of whatever you're offering. So that can be helpful too. And even with products, right? If it's a common product, or sometimes if it's like a custom listing, right? I'll just have like custom listings so that people who are looking at your shop can see, oh, they offer custom designs, that kind of thing too. So pictures is number one. Number two is video. So Etsy a few years ago decided to allow videos, and they can only be 15 seconds and no sound. But it will be the second, so you have like your cover photo in your listing, and it'll be like the second photo, but it'll be a video. And videos get seen, like 100% more than listings without videos. So they're probably already suggesting, right? It's Etsy's kind of new thing. They're saying, hey, you could have your listings be shown more if you put in a video. So it doesn't have to be like because it's really hard to use your phone and not like have it be shaky. It's hard to like get a nice like video. You certainly could of your products, right? And if you're creating products, that would be a great like GoPro type quick video. I'm not sure about the file size because it's limited to the file size, but you can play around with, just a quick 15-second of you making the product would be really great. Or you can have a generic one, right? So if you have a lot of different products or services, you could have a generic like logo video, right? Just so that you have a video in your listing, and then you could swap it out for a particular, if you have specific products, you could swap out a video for that product in those listings, or you could just keep the generic one. But it only allows one video per listing, so just keep that in mind. But Canva, again, is a really great place to create a quick video, right? Even if it's just pictures of your product coming in, you can animate anything in Canva. So you could have some words, that says like, holiday gifts or something like that, and have that kind of scroll in or float in or however you want to do that. And then you can have pictures of your products. So you could just have a really generic Christmas background, and then you could have your holiday products kind of float in. So that would be a great listing video. And what's great is you could create, those listing videos. And I always do in Canva, I will do a square, like Instagram post, and then I'll animate it. And that seems to be the perfect same square size as the Etsy listing requires. And so just remember to keep it to 15 seconds, and then you might have to play around with the size because I think it's limited to certain megabytes. I forget how many, but it'll tell you obviously. So so that would be number 2 is video in Canva. So you can animate anything in Canva, and then what's great is you'll have that video that you could then use for your social media. So there's no reason, that you can't create these beautiful pictures, and at the same time you're creating content for your social media to advertise those products or send people back to your Etsy shop. So that's another great way that Canva is so helpful, right? Such a help to small business owners. So first we said pictures, second definitely is video for Etsy shops. And then third, and maybe even more important, although I think pictures is probably number 1, but certainly up there is SEO, right? So as you're setting up your listings, the title and the first paragraph of your description is the most important for SEO. So what I recently discovered, and if you want more SEO tips, I have my SEO live training that I did last week, and it has a lot of great tips in there too. I talked a little bit about Etsy shops, but I'll just restate it here that on Etsy, and you may have noticed this, if you create a listing or you're looking at your competitors' listings for similar products, if you're on a listing page and you click the search bar, it will suggest similar listings to that. And what's great is, that's obviously looking for popular searches, which is essentially our search engine optimization, right? Etsy is a search engine. We want to get found when people are searching for those things. So if you're on that listing page, you can click the search bar in Etsy, and it'll populate with popular searches related to that listing. So those would be the words that you would want to use first in your title, and then that same set of keywords you would want to appear in the first paragraph of your description. So that would be that would be a great thing to get started on if you're either starting your listings or if you want to just kind of rejudge a couple of old listings just to try to get a little bit more eyeballs. So SEO certainly is number 1, right? That would take you, forever, right? You could mess around with that as long as you have your Etsy shop. I'm always adjusting those SEO things, and what I'll say is try to use a different focus keyword in the beginning of your title. So if you offer, a whole bunch of different t-shirt designs, you don't want the first word of your title to be t-shirt for 100 listings, right? You would be competing with yourself, and nobody would be able to even get to the last few of your title. Those titles can be really long, and I always say use the full length of the title, all the characters allowed. So you could have if it's a Santa red t-shirt, and then it would be holiday gift, and then a bunch of other keywords in that string. But have that listing be the only focus keyword that has Santa red in the first part of it. So you can play around with that, and certainly use the listing search bar in Etsy to try and find those popular keywords. Another tip for SEO, if you haven't tried, I used Marmalade for a number of years, and I found it to be the most user-friendly. I know there's others like Etsy Rank and some others too. I haven't messed with those too much, but I really found Marmalade to be really user-friendly, and that would be a way to find search words, keywords that are highly searchable and less competitive, right? That's kind of the balance you're trying to figure out. Is you want it to be popular enough, right, so that people are searching, and you're getting, there's enough people searching for that particular search word, but also that it's not too competitive, right? Because if you're competing with a bunch of people who are already super successful, it's going to be really hard to get into that market. And I always, everyone has a unique perspective, so I always say, I don't think there's I don't think it's saturated. I think there's enough room for everyone. So absolutely, if you're wanting to get on Etsy, there's still plenty of money and customers to go around, right? So don't be afraid of that. So Marmalade is a great place to check for those SEO words, and it'll tell you even pricing, right? So it'll tell you how your listings would compare. It can rank your current listings, as well as you can search for new keywords that you want to search for. So it'll kind of create a whole little database for you, so that you can search for keywords for new stuff, as well as keep an eye on your old listings to see what's kind of working and where you could focus to get the most bang for your buck, kind of thing. So that would be probably number 3, but also really important is the SEO for each listing. Then what I have found, and this might be slightly, well, these last 2 tips are a little bit of tricks, but and they might be slightly unpopular opinions, but I'm telling you from experience over the last 14 years, these 2 tricks are what I think has gotten me more eyeballs to my Etsy shop. The last 2 tips are, 1 is create more listings, right? If you have, and this might be kind of obvious, but if you have 10 listings, it's going to be really hard to be seen on Etsy, even if your SEO is immaculate, right? So you'll notice most shops that are getting a lot of views have at least 100 plus listings. And so don't be overwhelmed, right? If you only have a few listings, it's no big deal, or if you have a few products, it is no big deal to copy that same listing and just change the first keyword, right? So it can be the exact same product that you might have 5 different listings for, no problem, but you have a different focus keyword in the title, and you can swap out the cover photo. So it looks like a completely new listing, but it's really just the same product. And so you're kind of trying to try out different focus keywords, right? So that would be a good idea if you're still trying to figure out, really if you're just trying to get eyeballs, but that would add to your listing if you don't have 100 products or 100 services to offer, right? You can just copy each listing and then change the focus keyword and you could swap out the cover photo, but you could really keep the same description, your same policies, you could really copy and paste that kind of thing. In the description, you might, whatever that focus keyword, again, if you use that same focus keyword in that first paragraph of your description, that would be really key as well to make sure you get seen in the search, or show up in the search. So that would be a good idea there. So more listings, that is definitely number 1. And I don't feel like that's a lot that people will tell you, but I really think it's important. It feels like something that's not particular to a lot of, or it's not specific enough, but I think it's general enough that I think it's really important. So definitely more listings. And then the last trick that I think is slightly unpopular, but I will tell you from experience, it has worked over the last 14 years. Every time I renew a listing, right? So what that means, right? Many of you may have tried this, and I'd be curious if you renew your listings, tell me renew in the comments below, because I would love to hear if you feel like you get more eyeballs that way. So the key on Etsy is if you haven't had a sale in a while, your listings are getting lower and lower on the totem pole. So you're going to be shown less and less on Etsy. So that's really frustrating, right? The more sales you get, then Etsy's it's part of their algorithm. They're like, oh, this shop is great. Oh, people are liking this shop. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Let's show up in searches. So the way to do that is certainly to renew listings, because then they look like fresh. And I've heard, I've heard conflicting ideas on this, but I tell you from experience, every time I renew a listing, I feel like I get, that day, I get more eyeballs, and I'll usually get a sale. So every time I renew a listing, I know that I must be bumped up, right? It's not because my SEO is bad. It's not because my pictures are bad. It's just because I haven't had a sale in a while. So if you're feeling kind of stuck and you feel like you haven't had a sale in a while, just try renewing a couple of listings. And what that means, right, is you can choose when you're setting up your listing whether it can be renewed automatically or manually. And I always have it automatic, because I forget how long it is. I don't know if it's 6 months it'll renew itself as a listing, but you can renew it at any time. So and it's 20 cents to renew. So I know that could add up pretty quickly, right? If you have 100 listings, what would that be? 20 bucks. If you have 10 listings, right, that would be $2. So, but you could do one a day, right? You could spend 20 cents a day, right? And that would be not that much per month to spend for marketing, right? That could be like your little marketing fund for Etsy to start out. That would be, you know, pretty inexpensive. So, so that would be the way to, I would say, get more eyeballs. If you're feeling like no one's looking at your stuff for a while, definitely try renewing. So it would just be, even if the listings are set up on automatic, so in case you don't forget some of the listings to renew manually, but you can go into any listing anytime, and if you just click renew, you'll pay 20 cents to renew that listing, but it'll bump it to the top, and I really think it helps the algorithm. I think you bump up in searches too. So give it a try, and I'd love to hear if it works for you, because it has worked for me for the last 14 years. So it's kind of an unpopular opinion. People say, oh, it works and oh, it doesn't, but it has worked for me, so I still think it's valid. And Etsy goes through changes, right? The algorithm is like, my gosh, always changing. And so I really hope that they are putting money into, and I think they are, into, I know they're focused on really trying to help the actual humans, right? Homemade products as opposed to AI generated products. So I think they're doing, you know, making efforts to really make it still a human and valuable and beautiful place. So I still think there's a place for beautiful products. So those would be my top tips, right? So just to recap, certainly number 1 is pictures, beautiful pictures. Number 2, I would say, is video, and you can use Canva for both of those. Number 3, but also super important, is SEO, and you can try Marmalade for one of those, or definitely focus using a different focus keyword for each product. So each and every listing should have a different first keyword, so that you can stay searchable. And then the 4th would be more listings. So if you only have 10 listings, it's going to be really hard to be seen. So even if you have multiple listings for the same product, that will get you more listings faster. So that would be another way. And then the 5th one is to renew. Just renew listings every day. Renew listings for 20 cents, right? You could do that every time you think about it. Just renew a listing. If you have a listing that hasn't gotten a lot of eyeballs, just try renewing it for a while, and I think it'll really show up there. So that would be my tips. If you, another, you know, option I wanted to mention too is Etsy ads, right? So Etsy ads are kind of similar to Facebook. Their minimum, is that right? I think their minimum is like $1 a day. But what is interesting about Etsy is, so I will tell you, I think it's gone better. I'm still always experimenting, but I think I have it set to the max of $25 a day. Oh my God, and that sounds insane, right? So $25 a day, but it never spends that. It'll only charge you if it's clicked on. So, you know, if you're getting that many clicks, then you would be getting those sales and it would make up for the $25. But it never, you know, mine never spends that. But I feel like it spends and it gets me more eyeballs. And I think it can be really effective. So you can play around with, you could have all your listings running on Etsy ads, and you can set the daily budget. So you could have like 10 listings for $5, or you could have 30 listings for $25, or something like that. I really think it does better with less listings, because, and especially listings that you really want to push, you could just do one listing at $25 a day or something like that. But again, it would rarely spend that $25 unless you were getting those sales, which would make up for it. So, so those are some things to keep in mind. If you want, you know, more strategy, or if you have any questions, feel free to type the comments below. Send me your questions. And if you just want more overall strategy, just say strategy in the comments. I would love to I offer a free social media audit. So it's just a quick 15-minute chat where we look at all of your efforts, kind of your umbrella strategy, because it's really hard, right? It's really hard as a business owner to be seen. Like, I think we all have beautiful products and beautiful services, and it's just a matter of getting the word out. And what's great is social media is free. But what's not great is it's totally saturated and it's hard to be seen, right? Especially as a business owner. We all know social media is made for people-to-people interaction, right? It's not as convenient or not as friendly to businesses being up in the algorithm, which rightly so, right? None of us want to be sold to all the time. We're on Facebook to, hang out with our friends, see what's going on. So if we were hit with businesses all the time, then we probably wouldn't like as much. People wouldn't hang out on Facebook as much. So if you want an overall strategy, right, if you want to just kind of see where you're at with your social media and you want to figure out how to get more leads, more customers, more eyeballs, and more sales, right, let's talk strategy so that we can kind of come up with a whole plan that will be better to get qualified leads to your business and to your website or to your Etsy shop or wherever you want to send people to make those sales. Let's talk. So feel free to say strategy below. Thanks so much for watching. If you have more Etsy shop questions, please feel free to send me anytime. I'm happy to look at your Etsy shop and see, give you a quick few tips. I'd be happy to do that for you. So feel free to say anything in the comments. Let me know if you feel like this was helpful. I would love to hear that as well. Just say helpful or what's your favorite tip from today that you learned. I would love to hear that as well. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you the next time.